here's number 4. So we're going to start in the same way. We're going to identify what operations we have. We see the plus sign first between the 3 and the 24. So there's addition. We see this division sign next. So we have some division. And then we see the dot between the 3 and the 4, which is multiplication. And you're going to see in this problem how this one is slightly different than the previous one that we solved. And it'll help to reinforce this idea that when you're working within a particular group, right, whether it's multiplication and division or addition and subtraction, you have to follow the rule of order from left to right. Otherwise, you're going to get some weird answers. So if we have PEMDAS, remember M and D are going together, A and S go together, they're grouped. First, second, this is group 3, and this is group 4. All right, so as we said in the previous examples, multiplication and division both will always come before addition and subtraction. The reason for that is because, right, if you look at the order here in PEMDAS, 3, right, group 3 comes before group 4, right? When you're counting and you say 1, 2, 3, right, 3 comes right before 4. So because both multiplication and division are part of group 3, you want to make sure that you always prioritize those before these last two. So we know that addition is actually going to be the last thing that we do because multiplication and division are part of both part of group 3, which comes before it. Now we just have to decide between division and multiplication which comes first. And again, it is not, and I repeat, it is not the case that multiplication always comes before division. That is a misconception because of the fact that the M, right, when we're reading left to right here, we read P, E, M, right? And we think, well, M has to come before D. And that's the tricky part about this whole idea of order because that works for P and E, but when you get to groupings like this, you have to be careful. So the rule, right, for these groups is that it is in the order that it appears. So it's left to right, you're gonna move left to right, and whatever you see pop up first, when you move left to right in this direction, that is the thing you prioritize. So when I'm moving in this direction, right, we already talked about addition, so you can ignore that for a second. We know that's gonna have to go last anyway, but right here, I'm gonna stop for a second because I already hit one of my symbols, which is division. So I know that division is going to be the first thing, not the second, the first thing that I do, right? And then if you were to keep going, you would eventually stop and you would get to the multiplication part, but that happened after the division. So multiplication actually has to happen second in this problem versus in the previous problem, multiplication happened first. So this is where you have to be careful. All right. So let's start with the division problem in the middle of the problem first. So we're going to do 24 divided by 3. That's going to give us 8. Again, I'm already done with these two things. You can cross it off if that helps you to know that you don't want to bring any of those numbers down. But I have 3, the plus sign. I'm going to bring down the multiplication symbol and the 4. So I did division, check. Now multiplication. So I'm going to do 8 times 4. And I'm going to get 32. I can bring down 3 and the plus. Again, this has already been solved. We just multiplied those two things out. So you don't need to bring any of that down. And then you can add as your last step. So 33 plus 32 gives you 35. We did all of our steps, and that's the final answer.